Well, guys, it's 10 o'clock, and so I'd like to go ahead and begin if you don't mind. And, well, frankly, I'm going to begin if you do mind. So either way, it doesn't matter to me. What I want to do is try to conduct class as normally as possible. And that's going to be a trick, of course. But what I'll try to do each time we start out is to maybe take a brief look at what the next couple of classes are supposed to look like, just kind of go to the syllabus, look at the schedule, and then take any questions with respect to material that you're working on for assignments or anything else that you might be having troubles with or curious about. And then we'll launch into some of the material for that day, which will almost always begin with at least a brief review of some of what we covered the class session before. And if you think about it, that's the model we've carried on throughout the entire semester so far. So we'll try to keep that. I appreciate you guys being here on the webcast. Not only do I think it's better for you to be able to capture this information live, but it helps me because it gives me a sense of what you're understanding, what you're not, how well we're pacing things, etc. So with that, you can see that I've got the syllabus up here. Right now, we're looking at enterprise value multiples today, and of course we'll do a brief review of the adjusted present value model that I talked about on Wednesday of last week, and then we'll go on Wednesday, and we'll talk more about the market multiple model, which uses enterprise value multiples inside of it for the continuing value. So with that, what questions might you have about some of the materials that you're working on or things you're getting ready to turn in?
Do we have to include the economic profit on the Excel assignment?
Good question, Martin. In fact, let's bring that up real quick, because I want to make sure that everybody not only gets the answer to the question, but sees exactly how I've set this. You'll notice here, excuse me, I didn't mean to get rid of that. You'll notice here that I tell you in the assignment right here in red that you don't need to work out the economic profit model, okay? So, but let's talk about it for just a brief moment because I know a couple of you have had questions about it. The economic profit model is an interesting model, but I have to admit it's mostly interesting to economists and much less so to financiers. And I've literally never seen it motivated in a valuation project or assignment. I've never seen a professional valuation consultant utilize it. In fact, I would say that most of them that you might talk to wouldn't even know what it represents. It's something that McKinsey and Company likes, and it's something that economists like. And if you think about it, it's all about this issue of taking invested capital and multiplying it by the difference between ROIC and WACC to get some sort of economic profit. It's a highly theoretical form, but it should have some ultimate similarity in value to the other values that we use for free cash flow, KVD, etc., or even a adjusted present value. But no, you don't need to motivate it.
Okay.
So you can just leave that part of this assignment blank. You don't need to flesh out these elements down here.
Okay.
What other questions might you have on what you're working on right now? Well, let me give you a brief update on something that's coming at us fairly soon, or is intended to come at us fairly soon. You'll see here that we've got the job market development assignment, which was a series of speed interviews, and I've got those noted on the syllabus and in Canvas for the evening of April 8th. And that was intended to be live. Well, obviously we're not doing that. Not only we're not going to do it live, but I don't think we're going to do it virtually either. We've looked at the possibility of having all the speed interviews and all the interviewers and all the students set up in little live webcasts and Zoom meetings and such. But if you think about the number of interviewers that we have for the two classes and the number of students, so we've got roughly 25 of each, 25, 27 of each, and then compound that by trying to go through 5 or 7 individual speed interviews per person, that means we'd have to set up something like 300 or so, or maybe as well 150 different Zoom sessions. We're just not going to do that. It's just too cumbersome. So I'm going to take that assignment completely off the table. Don't worry about having to execute that. We will go ahead, though, on April 1st and still have a guest speaker, Tom Lewis, who's the former CEO of Ameritrade. They'll be with us, but he'll be with us by webcast. You see, the other item that you're getting ready to turn in on Wednesday is the FCF and KVD model, a problem set. Any questions about that? So how many of you have actually started it?
I did.
Okay. So just a couple of us. I'm not surprised, of course, at that, but it'd be a lot more helpful for you if you dig into those things before we have the Monday session so you can ask questions about them. I don't think you're going to find this one challenging, but let me open it up really quickly so I can point out a couple of things to you. In this, you'll notice that I give you the free cash flows and the no plats for each of the years that we're dealing with. So you don't actually have to calculate those. Now, I still give you some financial information at the end so that these are calculable, but by this time, you already know how to do this. And if you don't know how to calculate no plat or free cash flows, then we have a whole different problem. I can see Brandon smirking there in agreement with me. So I give these to you right at the beginning and then let you motivate the solutions through them. The only thing that I would tell you here that you might find a little bit different is that this is a transportation company, Central Camp Railroad. What is probably unique about a railroad that wouldn't be the case for most other types of companies that we would deal with?
Very highly leveraged.
Highly leveraged. They tend to use a lot of debt capital. Why is that?
Because it's highly capital intensive. And
that's exactly right. Think about the hundreds of millions of dollars of investment that have to go into a transportation company, a railroad, an airline, a shipping line. Hundreds of millions of dollars that need to go into them before they can move even one dime of passenger or cargo. So with a railroad, you have to own all that real estate on which you've laid all that track. You have to have those big rail yards. You have to have the switches. You have to have the freight trains. You have to have everything. And so before you can turn a single dime of revenue from moving a pound of cargo for a client, you've probably invested, well, in today's markets, you've probably invested several $billion, not even hundreds of millions, if you're going to have a credible railroad. A very small railroad like the Central Utah Railroad that some of you might be aware of likely has, I'd venture to say, easily $3 to $4 billion of tangible assets. And so that's just not common for a small company, right? So you'll see some things there. And what that means is you're going to see a fairly small return on invested capital. You're going to see a very small return on equity and return on assets. Any other questions?
Well, wouldn't you have a large return on equity?
Well, that's a good question. That was Jaden, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. It depends on the equity multiplier or the debt to equity ratio. So you might, Jaden. you might, if there is a significant amount of debt involved. And I think in the case of Central Camp Railroad, and this is an actual railroad in a small area in California, in the case of Central Camp, it probably does have a pretty high return on equity because it has a significant leverage.
Underscore, like not really underscore, but like let's say PV tax shield. How do you write tax shield as like lower caps and like below PV?
Okay, let me use this as an example. So I've got TS over here in this cell for tax shield, right? And I'll just say tax shield for period I. And whenever we say period I, we're talking about any period, right? Well, if I have it like this, well, that doesn't look the way we want it to. I want this to be uppercase, and I want that to be lowercase, but I want to subset it. So Martin, open it up, select the part of the equation you want to change, or the part of the term you want to change, go up here to font, come down to subscript, and now I have it. You see how I did that?
Yeah.
I don't think
you have that on Mac.
Oh, yeah. I know you do, but it's a different instructional sequence. I know you can do it. I just don't know how you do it on a Mac.
Okay, I'll try to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I know I need to look at for font. So yeah.
If you were in Word, let me open a Word document for a minute. If you're in Word, does Mac give you this X subscript and X superscript?
Yes.
So that's doing the same thing, by the way.
Okay.
So you could possibly find the same function in Mac's version of Excel.
Okay. And then same kind of like related question, how do you on Word or anywhere, how do you write equation like you do, you know, like the math format?
By the way, I'll show you, but I don't expect you to do this.
Okay.
Part of the reason I've given you these quick sheets, and I think you have access to them as Word documents as well as PDFs. Part of the reason is so that when you need to type something out, instead of having to type it, go to one of my documents, select it, copy it, and paste it. Okay?
Okay.
This isn't a class on Word or Excel where I am expecting you to become artists in this. So you're welcome to copy and paste these things. But that said, if I'm in Word and I want to create a equation, I'm going to go to Insert, Equation, and it opens up an editor with all of these functional areas.
Okay.
It's fairly simple to learn how to use. My guess is to take you, you could do a simple equation like one of these. You could probably figure that out in 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
And then, so with the doing subscripts in Excel, you just hit Control-1, and it'll give you the format options.
Okay.
Okay,
Good enough.
cool.
Or Command-1, Command or Control-1, one of the two.
Okay. And there may be a hotkey like that within the PC version. I just don't know the hotkey command for it. Okay, guys. Well, that's about as far as I wanted to take us today. Again, if I were you, before our class on Wednesday, I would watch parts of this video. When I go to post this to Canvas, I will post it in a couple of different segments. So let me show you where I'm posting things to Canvas for the videos. You can look here. I'll start with the home page. And if you click on course resources, takes you to the modules, and you can scroll down and you'll see the second module is Spring 2020 course videos. And so I've posted the two from Wednesday here. I separated them between the course discussion and then our discussion of the model forms. I'll go ahead and separate today's into at least 2 segments, maybe 3, just to try to make it a little bit more digestible, and I'll post them right here. Okay.
Sweet.
And then I think I also, let me go to, no, I guess this is the only place I post them here. I don't think I posted them anyplace else in Canvas for this class. Okay, so that's where you're going to find these, and I would encourage you to watch them again. You can speed through them, and again, I'll put them in different segments so that you can view the segment you think you need help with. All right.